those who've always been vocal an opportunity to run the affairs of the various ministries or the various sectors that they spoke much about. For instance, anytime Esla comes, former communication, Esla comes to do a press conference, definitely get a response from Sam George. Also come and say his own thing. But now he's going to be in charge of that particular ministry. Let's see the ideas that he has to make communications better in this country.
Last week he was already speaking on digitalization. And all that.
Yes. So I remember when the Calvinist GVG and the rest came up, he was the go-to guy, speaking on the matter. Now President Mahama has given him the opportunity to run affairs in that particular ministry. We'll just wish him all the best and see how he will run the ministry. And then another interesting one for me is the Minister of State for Climate Change and Sustainability. But I remember the very first day we did, we covered the vetting. I raised the issue about why committee members did not ask the Energy Minister about issues of climate change and the green energy and that. Now, this particular position is already in existence at the office of the president. Okay. But it wasn't a minister of state. It was a presidential advisor. Of the past president. Yes, of the past president. It was a presidential advisor on climate change. But this time around, he's made a minister of state. That one gives him some more power and more authority when it comes to deal with issues of climate change. And climate change is affecting everybody. Clearly. Everybody in this world.
We've had Trump withdraw US from the Paris Accord. So it should tell you the magnitude of climate change.
Climate change is big. And surprisingly, for us here in Africa or in Ghana, we do not see really what's happening. But in elsewhere, climate change is big. And it's about time we also take climate change very seriously here. Because we see the change in weather pattern. We see what's happening.
The drought we experienced last year should give us an indication.
When you go to the Horn of Africa, the Somalia, the Ethiopia area there. I've been in Ethiopia before on several occasions, and you could see really what's happening there. For Ghana here, we are not really experiencing it. But then if we don't check it and we continue to let it go the way it is, we may also have the effect down here. And I'm excited about this appointment. Green energy, I mentioned the last time. Let's see how we go by it. But as Bernard said,
it's quite clear. You could glean from the president's inaugural speech on the day of his swearing. He was quite heavy on climate change.
And I feel the seriousness that President Mahama is attaches to climate change. All other presidents or leaders within the continent might also take immediate effect to that, because I read a document from the UN about climate change. Africa contributes less than 5%, but then we bear the brunt the most. We suffer the most. So if we allow the world powers to cause pollution to the environment, and we in Africa decide to keep quiet and watch it goes on, it's going to give us a problem. I remember some years back, I was privileged enough to join the journalists who traveled with former President Akufo-Addo to Paris for a climate change summit, and there were commitments on how to help Africa fight, climate change. And these commitments were not fulfilled in terms of money for Africa to deal with this particular issue. They were not fulfilled. So I hope that President Mahama, through this new minister, will be able to push through and get things done well.
Okay. Can we go through the list again, just to give viewers who just tuned in some info? So 3 new regional ministers to complete the list of 16. And the regional ministers are in the presence of Upper West posing Charles Luanga. Bono is Joseph Adai Akwabua, and Bono is Francis Owusu Entry. That brings the list to 16. There were 11 sectoral ministries yet to be determined. Defense is Dr. Edouard Buama, who is a former Minister for Environment and the immediate sort of Director of Elections and IT for the NDC. Former NUCS President. Samonate George, MP for Ningo Pram Pram, ranking member on the Communications Committee, quite vocal MP, main proponent of the LGBTQ law, now a Minister for Communication, Technology and Innovation. Ama Kofi-Boa, Majority Deputy Leader, former Minister for Energy, now Lands and Natural Resources, MP for Elembele. Rashid Pelpo, former Minister for Sports, former Minister for Private Sector Development, now Minister for Labor, Jobs and Employment. Multiple WAS Central MP for Upper West. Health, Kwabna Minta Kando from the Western North region. Financial economics, actually this statistics economics background. been MP for, I think this is his 3rd or 4th term. Quite vocal on health issues, health infrastructure. We interviewed him the night Parliament was to be sworn in, and not surprising that he's Minister of Health continued a tradition of non-medical doctors, whether it's Alex Egbefia or Kweku Agyeman-Menu or Minta Kando. A lot of the people who have been given this portfolio, at least the last 2 are finance people, because we look at Agyeman-Menu, he's a chartered accountant. This guy studies economics and statistics.
Right.
He also farms from Joaboso. Then the Minister for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, Science and Technology, MP for Tamale Central. Now, we need to know that he used to be MP for Nanton, then went out of Parliament and came back to Tamale Central. So he's a 2-term MP and was a student leader when we were in the university. He ran for SRC president, but later became the national president of this second body. Not NUCS, there's another one called...
GAPS.
No.
GRASAG.
University Students Association, there's a name for it.
USAG.
Something like that. University Students Association of Ghana, USAG.
Like
He was the president. So he went to Legon and also went to Tech. He was deputy minister for Trade.
Okay.
So Mutala is always there or thereabouts. Yesterday I was on a committee as a subject matter person. Transport is Joseph Bukari Nikpe, MP for Saboba. Now, the reason this is an interesting pick is that I'm looking at the geographical breakup of the northern region. Most people in the region will look at the region and split it into 3.
Right.
So even though it's northern, there's a Dagomba part, Tamale, and the areas around Yendi. But there's also Saboba, Chereponi, which is more to the eastern part of the region. So coming from Saboba, if you ask Aminu Alabira, he will tell you that that part also needs representation.
Right.
So national representation is not just the region. But even within the region. Because both Haruna and Mutala are from Tamale. But he is from Saboba. So I even suspect he is from a different ethnic group. So we can discuss that later on. Then you have a very interesting pick in Muntaka Mohammed Mubarak. He and Haruna were the 2 key guys in the committee, Gary James Aveji. So when that leadership change occurred, he's I think he's the main strategist for the minority. And he's held on to Aswansi despite all the pressure. He's been in parliament since a by-election in 2005. A lot of people forget he was Minister for Sports. Who had a certain scandal and had to be withdrawn. Came by election, has held on to that seat. I think his relationship with Asanteman is strong.
Very strong.
So the main Kumasi Zongo, he holds that. So it's not surprising that he's been given interior. All right. Now, Asante is a huge region. And so beyond Muntaka, even though he's from the Ashanti region, you can say that Ashanti's other person is Kenneth Gilbert J. He was initially being touted for defense, but has now been given works, housing, and water resources. So you have 2 from Ashanti there. Then Okujetua Blakwa is not surprising because he is the ranking member on the Foreign Affairs Committee. The Oslo Embassy scandal, the breaking down the Nigerian embassy building.
The Belgium embassy as well.
Being a very vocal person
and the printing
in the Foreign Affairs Ministry. A very different role for the advocacy he does. He's in charge of oral. Foreign Affairs is a different kettle of fish. So I think it's an exciting pick. And I'm quite sure he'll be happy to hear that he's foreign minister. And then finally, the 3 functional ministers of state instead of sectoral. And I'm trying to say this to separate. That there are 23 ministries. But there are 3 ministers of state in charge of functions. The first one is
special initiatives,
which we have no idea what it is under NDC. Government communications is very clear. It's already been working from day one. Felix Kwachu Fosu MP. And then, so I'm not sure a lot of people have seen Emmanuel Ejiokum. If we could find his photo and put it there, it would be nice. Emmanuel Ejiokum, if you can find him for us, I'll be happy to show him. He was MP for where?
Nkranza South.
Wonderful.
Nkranza South,
So the Bono East has 2. Bono has 1, Ahafo has 1. Western has 2, Central has 2, Volta has 3, Ashanti has 2, Eastern has 2, Northern has 3, Savannah has 1, Northeast has 1, Upper East has 1, Upper East has 1, Western North has 1. So this is how the equation is going. And then Isifu Seidu, climate change sustainability. So John Mahama has 42 ministers out of his 60. So there's going to be 18 names for deputy
ministerial roles.
So if it happens, so with the 18 and with this number, I'm not sure there'll be some ministries without deputies then.
Usually, functional ministers of state don't have deputies. So already, those 3 are out. And then if you look at the decoupling of youth from sports, you don't need a deputy for either because it was youth and sports. So usually you had deputy to help with one wing. But if you have a minister for youth and a minister for sports and recreation, why do you need a deputy for either? So you can knock off those 2 easily.
Right.
All right. If you look at a minister for foreign affairs, I don't think it depends on where we are. Because if you look at, for example, the appointment of Larry Beblulate for Sahelan affairs, there are already key functions being given to people. So why do you need a deputy foreign affairs minister? Why do you need a deputy minister for, say, transport? All right, unless you want to say railways and aviation requires a different. But
it's a big ministry, but I'm sure you require because aviation is part of it. You know, there's not a special ministry for aviation. You have aviation, you have railway, as you mentioned. You have this normal transport as we have it.
This is what I think. If a ministry's name includes different chains, so for example, local government, chieftaincy, and religious affairs, it tells you that it may need a deputy. But transport is transport. Do you understand? If you have a minister for, once the name becomes changed, it's trying to tell that we are trying to put different things together.
Communication, digital technology, and innovation.
For me, the way to simplify, if your name is 1, just be 1. If your name is 3 or something, but I'm not a government.
But you see, communication, digital technology, and innovations. And then there's environment, science, and technology.
That's what I'm saying. If your name is transport, you are transport.
Okay.
But if you are interior, is interior. Defense is defense. Foreign affairs. But if you now start giving it other names,
housing, and water resources.
You get my point. So like water resources used to be a ministry.
On its own. Sanitation used to be a ministry on its own.
Do you understand me? So I agree with you on transport that if transport has brought together railway and aviation, maybe because we can see, you know, I think the man 18 is a lot. He can work with.
As for the regionals, they are not getting deputies.
I don't think so.
No, in the last term of Akufo, the regional ministers didn't get deputies.
And the 3 functions will not get deputies. So maybe what we can do is that if I had a Ghana map, it would be very nice to superimpose these.
But in all this, I'm worried about the.
So this is who's this?
Kwadwo Ajekum.
Good. So this is Nkranza South. And he's the nominee for special initiatives. This is the only ministry which function. Okay, so I mean, unless they want to continue special development initiatives.
To continue with the 1D, 1F, the one village, one dam.
The special development initiatives was
maybe the 1D1 that wasn't really under special.
That was under trade.
It was under trade.
So
and then there was a secretariat really for it. 1D1F secretariat.
Okay.
So the special initiative included the
one village,
one dam,
one constituency,
1 million. Those, you know, those.
So we can't speculate here. You have to, but this is how I see it. A previous government has created special initiatives on the basis of what it wants to achieve. If you listen to NDC, 24-hour economy is their special initiative.
Right.
So maybe a minister, and the reason sometimes they appoint these guys is that if you put, say, Guzitano as your advisor on
24-hour economy,
right? Parliament doesn't know him.
Right.
But if you make Mr. Ajekum, is that the name?
Emmanuel Ajekum, yes.
If you make Ajekum a minister for that, he can be someone to say, dude, there's a budget of X million for special initiatives. What are you guys doing?
Exactly.
I do know that based on the new standing orders, non-ministers can now be invited.
Okay, to answer questions.
So, for example, national security doesn't need to be a ministry for the DCOP who's in charge to be summoned. But I feel like sometimes when you have a minister, there are so many things that a minister is required to do with Parliament that a non-minister may not be able to do.
True.
But I'm speculating at this point. So I'm waiting for them to come and explain
what the special initiatives is for.
I'm getting some information, but on the Kujia Jokumda, I'm told that he's a former deputy local government minister.
Interesting.
He served as a former deputy local government minister under John JM Chapter 1.
Okay, deputy local government minister.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. But in all this, for my worry is about the leadership of the majority now. It looks like almost everybody there is gone, with the exception of Comfort Doyo. All of them. So if you are taking the leadership,
so majority leader
is gone.
So Haruna left, Muntaka is gone.
Yes.
The current majority
Cassiel is gone.
Finance,
Amabwa
Deputy
is gone.
The whip is
Governance is gone.
Governance is also gone.
Yes.
So the only
Ahmed
person left
is gone.
Ahmed is gone. The only
Doyo
person is
Gansa.
Comfort.
Yeah,
Doyo.
but you have 183. And of that 183, there are people who were already being touted. Indeed, when the Muntaka Haruna issue was happening, the person going to replace Cassiel was actually being touted. But General Maskell came to explain that they wanted a new regional calculation. So I think, and I've been telling you that if you watch Mahama Yariga in Parliament, there are two people NDC defers to on legal issues when it gets very complicated. MPP, they'll go to Jogati. All right? NDC, Mahama Yariga will speak, Aine will speak. And when they speak, usually it's very convincing. So I think he's been a de facto
leader already.
in the legal side. He's been a de facto leader in a long time.
Right.
You remember the part, the bribery scandal that he alleged about, I think it was the energy minister, I'm not sure, some allegation that came up.
Yeah.
And he was forced by the committee led by Jogati to retract. So a lot of people saw that he was a rival to Haruna's team. That's what people saw. So Ayariga has been in Parliament for almost 4 terms, almost 5 terms. So I'm not sure you can even say that the majority side is being decimated, because we are told he will be supported by Ricketts Hagan.
Kwaku Ricketts Hagan.
Ricketts Hagan has been in Parliament for almost 4 terms or not or more. He's an economist, right?
Yeah.
And if you look at the work of Parliament, law and economics are 2 very important professions.
Very.
So if majority leader is a lawyer, your deputy being an economist helps to do with finance. Then you have Roxanne Dafiamepo being touted as the new whip.
Also a lawyer.
Another lawyer. You see what's happening here.
Yeah.
So I feel like they have planned this thing to also have that regional equation balance. So Ayaga is from Upper East. Then you have Ricketts from Central, Dafiamepo from Volta, Doyo Gansa from Greater Accra. So you probably need somebody from the Middle Belt as the other whip to then look at the MPP's balance as well, because if you look at MPP, the leader is from Central, the deputy leader is from Ashanti, then the whip is from Eastern, then the deputy is still Tolon, and then the second is I'm not sure whether you see, yes, Ahmed Jerry. So it looks like the team is forming on both Parliament and government. So. I don't know if the vetting is still going on.
No, vetting is on break. They'll resume after Parliament.
So now they are going to read this in Parliament?
Yes.
So probably cross over again. I really wish I had a Ghana map somewhere to just walk you through the way it's been broken up. But
we'll look at it when when the committee comes back to sit.
The other point I wanted to make quickly was that the balance is complicated to achieve, because there are many levels of balance. You have regional balance, which is constitutional.
Yeah.
You also need an age balance and gender balance.
Gender balance.
Now, the gender balance was going very well until this new list came.
Yes.
This new list has,
because this final list has no female.
No. So what you see though is that the list that was released this morning with 10 nominees had 4 women.
Okay.
Joyce Bawa Mutari, Nana Oyebampuado.
Okay, this is appointments to the president's office.
Yes, 5 women, 5 men.
Appointments to the president's office.
So you are Joyce Bawa, Nana Oyebampuado,
Nanaya Ajantwa, Beatrice Annan, Shamima.
So 5.
Yeah.
But then in the ministries, the original 12 had 4 women and 8 men.
Yes.
And then you've added 11 men. And then plus another 3. Plus another regional 3. So if you look at the Mahama government, we have 3 regional ministers and 4 substantive
Female.
sectoral ministers who are women. So you have 7 women out of a possible 42.
40. Yes, 42.
So that's 1/6. So 1 out of every 6 of the ministerial nominees are women, because 7, 6, 42, right?
Yeah.
So 1 out of 6. Parliament itself has probably the same ratio of women.
Yeah.
Probably the same ratio of women, because the women in Parliament are about 40 something. So I'm sure the people who raised this point earlier will have a thing or two to say. But I mean, I thought, and what I find interesting is how, yes, if I have the map code, how difficult it is to achieve regional balance with 16 regions. Because when you had 10 regions, it wasn't such a big issue.
Yeah.
But I think this list delayed because of the need for 18. Because there's no, even if, think about this, Ashanti has 42 constituencies. Northeast,
Ashanti has 47.
47 constituencies. Northeast has 6 constituencies.
6.
And yet Ashanti has 2 ministers, Northeast has 1. So a region as a unit of development, and the way we created them, I think is very, very interesting, because, you know, when we had 10 regions, North was big.
Yeah.
Bruno Half was big. You get it? But now you have Savannah and Northeast population. I have 3 constituencies in Accra, that's more. All right, so are you representing populations of people? Are you representing ethnic groups? So when you say regional balance, by creating a new region, you've also created a political problem.
Exactly.
You understand? Because you've created 6 constituencies with 350,000 voters, but you need to put, and I'm not saying they don't deserve a ministry.
Yeah.
But when Akufo-Addo created those regions, he inevitably forced the hand of a president to have to select, which is why people keep asking for regions. Because they believe that if I'm in the north and I'm Kokomba, or I am Chokosi, or I am Basari, I feel like if I get a region, then definitely somebody from my place will be.
A minister.
And I'm not sure a unitary republic with our size, if we keep going, we'll probably create more problems for ourselves.
You remember on a campaign to NDC candidate, the now President Mahama promised the Upper West another region.
No, Upper East.
The Upper East, sorry. Upper, I mean the Boko, they have a name.
So this is what happened. You remember when he went there last 2 weeks or last week, and the matter was raised? He didn't actually refer to the matter. He says, the matter you have raised, I will think. Because I think that it's complicated. It's very complicated.
The more reason why a lot of people criticize the creation of the 6 new regions, because I knew of people who were vehemently opposing, the creation of these regions.
But the NDC did not oppose it.
NDC did not oppose, because it would be suicidal for any political party to oppose such a thing, because it was demand driven. It was by the people. It was petitions sent to the presidency by the chiefs and elders and the people of that particular enclave. And so if you're a political party or political leader within that side, you will oppose it. It means you don't want our well-being. Then we also advise ourselves. The more reason why all the political actors were all in support of it. But deep within them, I'm sure they would avoid that this wasn't done.
They knew the impact.
So for instance, if the president is making an appointment, if Northern Region was just one, it would have been just easy for him to select somebody from Northern Region. But now Northern Region is 2, including Northern Region, making it 3.
No, it's actually 3.
It's 3. Okay.
Savannah,
Northeast, and then Northern Region. So now, if he's making an appointment, he must think very, very deeply on now getting someone from Northern Region, get someone from Savannah, and not just anybody. Competence is also included. And it gives burden to any president who wants to go this line. And not just only the ministers or deputy, the CEOs of the various government agencies too. There must be regional balance for that one too as well. So you can't appoint a specific, tribe to, you must also let there be regional balance in all other appointments. So it's really a burden for every president making an appointment with a current arrangement.
And even on the ethnic level you mentioned, for the MMDCs, it will pose same challenge. It's going to be.
So if you look at the regional ministers, there's been a lot of caretaking. So if you look at Upper East, for example, the minister is from the Bolga area. And it's important because being a Frafra, he is neither aligned to the Kusol side or the Mampusi side. And that's going to be very crucial.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that's an important point to make in terms of regional balance. The other problem Mahama has is that because he won the election so clearly, you know, when we have our heat map, in the past, he will probably win Northern, Upper East, Upper West, Volta, Uti, Western North. And then barely scrape through Western, Central, and Bono, and then lose Ashanti and Eastern. This election, if from an NDC perspective, every region delivered.
Yeah.
So even those who traditionally used to say, so for example, Volta and Oti, he won everything there. But look at Bono East, apart from one. Bono apart from one. Western apart from two. Western North, everything. Central apart from 4. Greater Accra apart from 5. So everybody can say, hey, we are key guys here.
Good.
Yeah.
So and that's where the pressure. That's where the pressure comes in.
The bargaining chip.
So now
and that's where the pressure comes in.
So and he cannot. And it's even funny because even if he loses a region, the vote he got in that region. So I think he said a few days ago that Ashanti played this role for NDC because if you look at the gap of NPP in Ashanti, it's always been 1 million, and now it's just 600K. So Ashanti can legitimately say
more additional seats in the region.
7.
Additional seats.
Eastern has something to say. So and I think based on the way I see the NDC, generally prior to this election, NDC appointments have generally been from 3 places: the Volta Oti, the Fanti group, and the Northern group. That's what generally has been. Now you have it's a broader coalition. It's a broader coalition that has brought him to power.
Right.
Where the Northern group, the Bono group, the Ashanti East, everybody has given
Central,
him
Western.
Yeah. So what I wanted to check with Sami was that, so you have 26 ministers. Volta is the only one. Volta and North have 3-3. All right.
Yes.
Then Savannah, where he's from, has 1. Northeast has 1. Upper East has 1. Upper West has 1. Bono East has 2. Bono has 1.
Ahafo
has 1. Western has 2. Central has 2. Greater Accra has 2. Western North has 1. Do you think that from an NDC perspective, he has been fair to the regional balance?
Yes.
You think so?
Yes, I think so. And there are some traditional regions you cannot just give only one appointment. What's the Volta region? We know the Volta region. You can't give just a single appointment in the Volta region. It will be so unfair to the people of the Volta region for all what they've done for you all these years, you know. But in some other regions, you can just give a single or 2 appointments, which will be fair, because historically they have not been with you all this while. But for regions who have been loyal to you all these years, you should reward these loyalty.
But that same apply based on the explanation Bernard has just given, because in the past, this recently held election, every region performed.
It's agreed.
And so every region has a claim. It's a legitimate claim.
I agree perfectly, but who has been loyal all the years than recent? You must also look at those factors. I spoke to someone in the previous administration why, you know, the president Akufo-Addo in his first term appointed a number of ministers in his government. And the explanation was that, Sami, people contributed to 2016 victory. The old money there to, you know, satisfy every region and everybody. So the more reason why we had such large number of people serving as ministers under the previous administration, the first term was good. But the second term, you know, this number reduced because of reasons best known. So it gives the appointing authority a hell of a time.
I wanted to ask another question. Do you think for the ministers, Mahama has taken a cue from Akufo-Addo in a way, in using MPs mostly? Because prior to Akufo-Addo, a lot of the ministers, I think most governments will satisfy the 50% or 52, 54% MP and then pick from outside. But I think in the Akufo-Addo's second term, he made it a point to give the minister work to MPs. it looks like, and you can correct me, it looks like Mahama has continued that because if you, for example, look at Mills didn't have, he had MPs, but a lot of his ministers were non-MPs.
Yes. Non-MPs.
So I can mention a lot of ministers. Chojifat was not an MP. There were quite a number of ministers in the security portfolio who were not MPs.
Yeah.
Under Mills. Even Mahama 1, he did have MPs, but there were quite a number of ministers who were not MPs. But it looks like, when you look at this list, apart from 3 people, Omani Boama,
Pablo,
George
Opariansa,
and
Opariado, sorry,
and then the Gilbert Ejay. All of them are MPs. And if you look at Akufo-Addo 2, again, talk to me because you covered. Why did Akufo-Addo 2 have so many ministers from Parliament as against even Akufo-Addo 1?
Because of the nature of Parliament at that time.
Okay.
It was a hung Parliament.
The 137.
And he needed almost everybody from Parliament to help the parliamentary work and also serve as ministers.
Right.
Because at that time, there were some important things he couldn't do in the first term, but wanted to push through in the second term. And so he needed these MPs to serve also as ministers so that they can push and prosecute the government agenda. They've always said that the business of the day is always coming from the executive.
Exactly.
And so if I have a minister who is also an MP and pushing through the agenda while
he takes personal responsibility.
He takes personal responsibility and pushes them through all. It's also about the provision of the constitution. A lot of presidents want to satisfy those provisions in the constitution as well as adding other factors to it. So for the second term, I'm very sure he learned from the first term the mistakes he's doing in the first term by appointing a lot of people outside Parliament. Now the second term, the nature of the House also made him understand that he needed to push through more.
Exactly.
And the materials available to him at that time were also members of Parliament.
Okay. Second question. So we know that the work of an MP equips you to understand the workings of a ministry. So the question of whether picking more of your ministers from Parliament helps the work of Parliament, I don't know where you stand, whether it's here or because whilst if you are a finance committee chair, it helps you to understand the work of a finance minister. So eventually it will be better. Once you become finance minister, your parliament work may suffer. Okay. How do you strike that balance? No, I wanted to show this, and then if I have the election map that we did, then I will show a few things because I wanted to show the importance of the regions. But what I wanted to say was that you see, Sammy,
we can use
again, this is a controversial point, but please don't take me out of context. In my humble view, creation of the new regions was more a political gerrymandering response than a development response. And please don't take me out of context here. I do know that the people can say they deserve a region. But just like district assemblies, AMA's needs is not the same as Bulsa South needs. So the way you treat Bulsa South is not the same way you treat AMA. For example, AMA has property worth millions of dollars that you can tax from property and run the place. Bulsa South is mostly agricultural. So you can't treat Bulsa South and Accra as the same.
The same, no.
All right. In the same vein, Western North, Ahafo, Oti, you cannot, having Ashanti and say Greater Accra, do you understand, as units, if you put them on a scale, it's not even balancing.
No.
Population-wise,
no.
Resource-wise,
economy.
And you see, what I'm saying is that Ashanti has 47 constituencies, population of over 5 million people. So the weight of people in the region and the human resource they will have, if a government has to choose 2 ministers from here and then choose 1 from Ahafo, is it fair?
No,
let's just think about it. Okay, you have 47 constituencies here.
In Ashanti.
With 5 million people. And a lot of NDC people here. Kojo Bonsu is here. Former Joseph John Akon, former minister, is there. Lots of them. You are forced to choose 2 for regional balance. Now you have Ahafo, which is 6 constituencies. Tano North, Tano South. Esunafo North, Esunafo South, Esunafo South, and you are forced to basically give half. Do you get my point? So what I'm trying to say is that Akufo-Addo's 2016 20 promise, yes, it was demand driven, but was it development oriented, or just because my argument is that the way we create districts in Ghana is not development focused, but is so. For example, if you create a new district as a local government minister, you necessarily have to create new constituencies. Do you know why? Yeah. Because a constituency cannot be in two districts.
Yeah.
So if Alhaji, no, not Alhaji, Mr.
The Bandai
Ahmed,
yeah.
Ahmed
Ibrahim,
who's a Christian, just of Pentecost, if he decides to create 4 more districts, based on what he does, he will force the EC to create a constituency. Now, is Ahmed Ibrahim and Jean Mensah, are they playing on the same level in terms of what they are trying to achieve? And once you get a new constituency, you create a job and a bureaucracy. Now, that district is created. Is he creating it because it's a viable unit of development, or is creating it because he wants to satisfy some people? That satisfying people result in development. We need to think about it.
Yeah.
Now, everybody deserves a minister because, yes, he's from your hometown. It's fine. You're a country of 30 million people. You want to have the best for everybody. I think we need to think carefully about where we are going. When I met Mahama join the media press, I asked him that question. Will we keep creating new districts and therefore new constituencies and therefore new bureaucracies which are not viable? How long can we keep going? So you have new regions, new districts, new constituencies. I'm not sure we are going anywhere useful with that thing.
No.
I think the Constitution Review Committee should read carefully what the 2010 group said about local governance and listen to the more reasoned view of building this country on a development need basis, not on a demand-driven, I want to be.
Yeah.
Okay, let me sit down because I know if I continue to say something, so nobody should have a region. Yeah. So I'm just using that as an example. 47 constituencies, 6 constituencies, 2 ministers, 1 minister. 1 minister, 2 ministers, 1 minister, 3 ministers. 1, 3, 2, 2. This is what we have. So everybody, so you can put their faces on it. Everybody has their share.
Yeah.
Maybe this is the best what they could find from their region, which is nice. But we need to think more carefully about our needs as a society and where we want to go. And sometimes de-emphasize our difference. We are the same people. If we overemphasize our differences as a society, it doesn't help us. We need to emphasize what makes us the same. I know every region deserves to exist. So every region must exist. But I think we should leave it there. We shouldn't keep creating more. That's my humble view for now. Can I take my seat?
Sure, please do. Then I think I agree with you. The Constitutional Review Committee has been put up by the president should actually have a look at this.
Yeah.
I feel it's all part of the gerrymandering for political reasons, more rather than developmental reasons. And I think we should have a relook at it, a rethink of same. Because if you keep creating, if you create the region, the tendency that obviously will follow through is a district. Once there's a district, then there's a constituency.
Do you think everybody...
And because the politicians also benefit from it.
Exactly, and that's where the gerrymandering comes in.
But do you think everybody will be happy? So in terms of the people, the regions, will they all be cool for now?
No,
but you see,
will not be
exactly.
happy.
Why do you want that representation? Why do you want that minister? At the end of the day, it's for development.
For development.
And if you do get it and the development doesn't come, is that satisfactory?
They feel the more the ministers, the more the development will come.
No, you see, this is the problem. It's about, I think there are 2 problems. The person is from my hometown and therefore I will have some benefit.
Yes.
He's close to the center of the port. So he's supposed to go there and do things. So I'll give you an example. Yesterday when Vivian interviewed Joe Gidisu said Abuja may have challenges because when Gidisu was regional minister, people say, how come Eastern Corridor Road Minister? How come Eastern Corridor Road is still bad? How come the road from Sugakobe to who is in this bad state, you are from
the region. Yeah.
Do something about it. Now, Joe Gidesu says, my job is not to build roads for Volta, it's to build it for everybody.
Yeah.
As soon as you start telling Gidesu that you are a Volta region person, we need more roads.
Yeah.
You are saying to Ashanti that,
You see.
so there should be a formula that whether Joe Gidesu is from Bunkurugu or Elembele or Sunyani, he applies, which we all have to agree on.
I agree.
Do you understand? So we cannot keep, and then number two, okay, he's from your region. So apart from the pride, so if everybody is going to develop their region, then security will be Eastern region because defense and Ashanti. All right, then the law will be Upper East because of.
So you have the best. You have the best security in the East.
I think the media
have the best
should
lawyers
also
up north.
help people to know that the government can achieve a certain regional balance, but if you push it to its extreme, you are going to just satisfy and not optimize. All right. Now, do you know what's going to happen? There will people start clamoring for deputy ministerial roles because they will say, how come somebody has 3 and I have 2?
Exactly.
So make the deputy
balance it.
You
give
do
me 2 deputy ministers, but do they take into consideration the area and the resource? Something like a Greek and Kopuku and where he's coming from, that a food basket, does it count?
So what I'll say is that the minority, who is now the majority, they explain that they try and get their caucus leadership to satisfy both sectoral competence and regional balance. So when they changed Haruna's group, you see how they did the allocation. Yeah. Central, Volta, this and that. So if you look at the chairperson of the committees, they also spread it so that they know that eventually these guys can become ministers. So even if all your brains are from Ashanti as MPP, you have to think about Eastern, think about Central, think about Northern. Western. All right. Problem with MPP is that their concentration of talent is mostly Ashanti and Eastern. So NDC always has it easier to be inclusive than MPP. So for example, all NDC governments, generally, you have a broader base.
Yeah.
Because MPP, look at Parliament, the 88 they have, 37 are in Ashanti.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
That's like 45%. And then another 23.
So imagine a Baumia government having to appoint ministers.
No. So on that basis,
majority shouldn't necessarily come from the Ashanti region.
No, but from MPs.
No, on that basis,
Ashanti region has the highest number of MPs in
I'm
Parliament.
saying on that basis, NDC ab initio is more inclusive.
Very.
Generally, because the nature of their electoral strength is across the country.
Yeah, cuts across.
So do you understand what I'm saying? So regional balance is always harder to achieve under MPP. Because the material in the party are concentrated in 3 or so regions, which is not inclusive enough.
True.
And if you look at the appointments of Mahama now, even people on his Constitutional Review Committee, I'm not even sure there are NDC people there.
No.
You get it? So I think we need to commend the inclusivity of the appointments. We have to be honest. If you look at H. Kwesi Prempeh, AC Ansa, Justice Adinira, what's the name of the guy? Amidu Tanko. They are not even political people, not to talk of.
But you know, this is
so hold on for me.